This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Hello, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and I am here today with a brand new author to me, as well as some of you. But I'm super excited because she reached out to me to come talk, and I'm ready to talk about her debut novel and her future work. So we are going to get started. Shail Rajan is a women's fiction author sharing stories which celebrate the role of family, friendships, food, and falling in love that play into our everyday lives. She now lives in the Bay Area with her husband and three wonderful, nosy, mischievous children who were super sweet to be very quiet this morning when we actually had the original time set 2 hours earlier, but we changed it so they're all at school right now. So mommies can talk. When she is not writing and reading, she loves to volunteer, tackles the occasional DIY project, obsesses over her vegetable garden, and cooks nonstop. And don't be surprised if you hear your stomach growling while reading her books, because she is a serious foodie and often includes vivid descriptions of the food and her characters are eating. If you feel the urge to cook something up, she often shares her recipes on social media. Shail recently published her debut novel, The Summer Breeze, and is currently working on a cozy thriller and the next book in the Summer Breeze series. She's also a proud member of Women's Fiction Writers Association. You can connect with her on Linktree. I also have the link up in the show, as well as the link to her website. So welcome to the show today, Shail. How are you, my dear?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
So tell me what made you want to write? Because a lot of people will say, I'm going to write a book someday, and then a lot of people talk about it. They might write a few notes, but what was that catalyst that made you say, I'm going to do this? I'm going to write this book.
So my road to writing is kind of a very long, drawn-out one. I did exactly what you said for a very long time. I said, one day I want to be a writer. I'm going to write a book. And then, graduate school came up, and then I was working, and then I got married, then I started having kids. And so it was always like delay. And then one day, about 15 years ago, I was sitting at work. I was on a lunch break and kind of daydreaming and started, just daydreaming about characters and fantasizing about becoming an author one day. And I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just start writing down some notes. So I wrote a few notes on my laptop, and eventually it turned into a character, and the character had people she needed to meet and places she had to go and food she had to eat, and it just slowly developed. And anytime I had a break at work or some downtime at home, I would keep adding to my notes, and then it turned into an actual, chapters, and then pretty soon I had an entire book, and then I had more kids. And then that book just sat on my laptop for years. And about a year and a half or 2 years ago, I got it into my head that, I've had this book on my laptop for so long. Let me get it out to an editor. So I found an editor. I had it edited. I got it back. And then it sat on my laptop again for a couple of years until last year when, everybody was going through so much difficulty with COVID, and, we had our own tragedy for our family. And so it was just a really difficult year for us. And around early December, I thought I need to do something positive, something good for my family, and something that'll give everyone a little lightness, balance out all the yucky stuff that had been going on. And I thought, you know what? I've got this light, easy read sitting on my laptop, ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and self-publish. And I worked with my teenage daughter to get a cover ready. We got a cover ready, and we put it out there, and it has been the most fantastic, incredible journey since then. I have never expected that I would learn so much in such a short amount of time about myself, about marketing, about kind of entrepreneurship, about asking people for things. I mean, it's just been an amazing journey.
And it can be obviously it can be a very intimidating journey because, like you're saying, everybody's got their own path to writing. And, some people got graduate degrees and have been writing forever and, were journalists in college or came into it later, what have you. But that no matter what life threw at you, that story is in your brain. It just keeps talking to you. And so you just keep coming back to it, like you're saying. How much regarding rewrites, because this happened over a very long period of time. How much about rewrites were you, as you were getting closer, like you've been working on it for a while and you say, okay, now I know we're solid, we're good. I know you've had an editor, but when you read it, you're like, okay, we're here. Like, this is where this chapter should be. What was that?
So the first kind of year where I was, just playing around and making the notes and writing the whole story, it was 95% done. Even after it sat for all those years and I picked it up again and I read it, it was still 95% done. I maybe changed a few words here and there, but the structure of it, the character development, all of it was exactly as I wanted it. And, when I sent it to the editor, she came back with minor changes, which I went through, and then it was done. Now, if I were to do a re-release, there are some things in retrospect that I would tighten up. Otherwise, the structure of the story, the flow, how I wanted the characters to interact with each other, and all of that was 95% done from the moment that I finished that first year of writing.
So where did you come up with your story? Where did these characters come from?
So I am a daydreamer, and also when I can't sleep at night, a lot of times just to not think about all the things that are going on during the day, and I got to remember to take the kids here and do this, and my incessant to-do list in my brain, what I like to do is just think about something else, right? And so oftentimes I create characters, and I'll just be sitting around and, daydreaming or laying in my bed getting ready to sleep, and I'll start thinking about a character. And I have already probably 6 or 7 other manuscripts in various stages of completion on my laptop, because I will think of an entire story from beginning to end now before I even sit down to write. And so the second book I'm working on right now, it is, I know the entire structure of the story. I know the timeline. I know exactly how the characters interact. I know what the climax is. I know all of it. And now it's just a matter of taking the time to finish typing up the words, right? Like finding the right words and the dialogue and all of that, and just putting that, just typing it all into the keyboard. But for me, that initial, the structure of the story, how people interact with each other, how the characters develop, all of that, it is done just in my head before I even sit down to write.
So, but you had, professionally, before this profession, you had a job in finance. And so this is removed.
Very
was
removed.
But it just works a different part of your brain. There was one year I went to a conference in Atlanta, and the same hotel we were staying in for this writers conference was a Microsoft convention, but they were closed. So it was several hotels downtown that were going to this Microsoft thing. And so we were in the hotel, we were in the elevator, and, some of us are at the writers conference and some of us are going, some people were going to the Microsoft. And this woman turns around and she goes, wow, because everyone's wearing lanyards. And she says, wow, left and right brain, right here in the elevator. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, hey, how about that? But, that shift, was that kind of, like you're saying, it's that escape out of the chaos of the job that pays the bills type thing.
Yeah, so my background is actually in accounting and finance and process optimization. I mean, I love the work when I'm doing the work, but when I'm not at work, I don't. That is not the part of my brain that rules my life. So during the days with the job that pays the bills, I really enjoy that kind of, structure and the cleanliness of mathematics and finance and process and optimization, which is very different from what I'm like outside of my job, which is, gardening and cooking and crafts and coloring with my kids. And I've built a few pieces of furniture, and, I love to try new recipes, and I'm always doing something with my hands. And so, the disparity in that is, it actually works really well for me. I don't know how else to put it. I'm a second generation Indian growing up in the United States. My parents brought me here when I was 5, and there were certain, expectations when I finished high school and went off to college that I would get a degree in something that, I could get a job in. And so I did economics, and then I did public accounting. And so then I got a job, and I enjoyed the job because I got to meet lots of new people, and it was fun, and I learned a lot. But always when I left work, that other part of me is kind of what ruled my approach to life, which was to constantly be learning new creative things to do.
Right. Yeah, and exercise that brain in different ways, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came over, do you speak a language other than English?
I do. I speak a language called Gujarati. It's an Indian language from the northwestern part of India.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, that there's multiple dialects in India. And then, of course, when you start pulling in the surrounding countries, it's a lot. There's a lot of different things going on.
It's a lot.
Is there a – Yeah. My daughter's at college this year, and she was really excited because one of her teachers asked if there were kids in the class who spoke other languages besides English. And I think she was texting me all of the languages, and I think there was like 20 different languages spoken. And she was just so excited because she just loves languages. And it's interesting that but I say this because, you've come from India when you were very young, even though you've lived in the United States the majority of your life, and you've got this other language, and then you've got that brings your culture and all these different things, but the storytelling seems to be universal. Like everybody wants a really good story. And so who in your family was that great storyteller that kind of influenced you with that?
Wow, that is, I was very fortunate. A lot of people, when they come to the U.S. from different countries, they come to a new city and they have, there's no family, right? Like people just move here with their nuclear family. And for me, I was incredibly lucky. We moved from India to a place called Rochester, New York, upstate New York, back in Kodak's heyday. I don't know if you remember the company Kodak, cameras and film.
Oh, yeah.
My dad got a job
got a lot of
in
my
19... Right? My dad got a job there in 1975. He worked there for almost 40 years.
Okay.
And so, but when I moved there, my mom's older brother, her older sister, her twin sister, all lived within 10 miles of us. And so I had the benefit of always being surrounded by family and then hearing the stories of like their childhood and my grandparents and how they grew up. And, there was a lot of familial history and storytelling just as like part of the normal course of business. Like, right? Like when we were together, that's what we did. We ate food and we talked about family. So, I think that, and then when I was growing up, every other summer we would go to India and we would spend like 2 months in India. And there, I'm surrounded by all my cousins and aunts and uncles, and everybody's got something to tell you about just even just the regular telling of what happened during the day. Like, even that to me is so interesting. Like, even sometimes someone who reviewed my book said, when someone can bring out the extraordinary in like mundane, everyday things, it's a nice story to hear, right? Like, you know, not every story is going to be super jazzy or whatever. But there's so much to be said just in like about human interactions and like the human experience, right? Just meeting people and falling in love. And I mean, I'm a hopeless romantic, so that also weaves its way in. And I'll have to tell you the story about my husband and I sometime. But yeah, I was very fortunate. I mean, I was surrounded by a lot of family, and we got to hear stories all the time.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, there is a knack. Some people are really good orators. Like, they are really good at telling you these stories, and it's hard to capture it in words. Like, their presence is part of the story, and their mannerisms. My great grandmother was like that. You know, I wish we had videotaped her, but she was just this amazing storyteller. And I don't know, as a little kid, I don't know if half the stuff she was telling me was true. I mean, how would I know, right? But, I mean, she was so good at convincing me that this donkey had talked to her when she was a child that I was like, oh, my gosh, that's not fantastic. So, I mean, it's those really beautiful people in your life that have this great way of making you remember those stories. And like you're saying, it could be the mundane, the everyday stuff, but it's just the way they tell it. Is really just hits us. And so I'm so glad that you've not only have those people, but that storytelling ability you've pushed into your book because you've also got the theme of food and family and sitting and talking and figuring things out. And that's just kind of universal again. You know, we just come back to this is what we're all about. You know, we're eating, telling stories, and, you know, figuring life out and the meaning of it all. So, and speaking of that, tell me about your book. So, A Summer Breeze came out last December. You're working on book 2 of the series. So tell me about the story. So the story centers around a woman named Callie. She is living in New York City, which is a place I lived for almost 6 years when I was single. And she's kind of, you know, caught up in the rat race of New York City, just running from one thing to the next. She gets involved with someone who has very high aspirations of going into politics, but things don't go exactly the way she wants, which I think happens to a lot of people in their early 20s and mid-20s. And for sure.
A visit from her sister, her younger sister, which I also have a younger sister, helps her realize that there are certain things she needs to change in her life. And so she makes some dramatic changes, and she ends up leaving New York City and trying to figure out what to do with the rest of her life, and realizing that there are things outside of kind of her career in finance that really mean something to her, that she wants to celebrate in herself. And so she takes on her own business, and I will leave it at that, because that is kind of the bulk of the rest of the story, what she does with her life and the choices she makes and how she kind of recenters herself and finds some real happiness. Yeah, and you know, women's fiction, for anybody who doesn't know the difference between, say, women's fiction and romance, is, the requirement is having happily ever after for now. That means the couple ends up together at the end. There's no question, there's no wonder. Whereas a women's fiction, it's more on the woman's journey. She may end up with someone, she may not, but really her journey is the story. And so know the difference. So anybody out there listening, it's like, there's your crash course, know the difference. So anybody who says they write romance but they don't end up together, that's not a romance. Just know this.
But I love that you've got these amazing posts on Instagram. I don't know who's doing some of your graphics. Are you doing your graphics?
Me. I am doing all my own graphics. I mean, listen, let me just do a big shout out to Canva. I'm not getting paid by Canva, by the way, just a generic shout out. It is the most easy to use, fantastic website. I mean, I do everything, and I have in the past.
It's worth like the $120
December,
a year or something.
Yes. I mean, I have learned Canva. I developed and designed my own website. Like my website, 100% of the layout, the graphics, the color, everything is all me. Like I never thought I would be able to do something like that. And I sat down one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to use Wix and, create a website. And it took weeks, but I love it. I love my website. It's such a reflection of me. So Instagram, how to leverage Facebook, Amazon ads, like all these things I've learned, and it's just been incredible, so rewarding.
Yeah. So it's cool because, I mean, it's that feeling of, oh, good, I get to learn something new, which is nice. And then there's so many videos that they have for learning, and some of them are 10 minutes and some of them are an hour. But I feel like, especially if you're a hybrid writer or you're just indie or you're just publisher, traditional, knowing how to do all this is essential because, especially with the traditional, you have this little tiny window that your publisher may be able to, throw a little bit of marketing dollars at you, but, it's your job to keep your book in the minds of readers or potential readers. So learning that, and 120 if you can. I mean, you can get the free version, but if you can invest in the 120 for the year for Canva, I think it's something like that. It's worth it. It's so worth it.
100% worth it. Yep. I mean, I've even learned how to use TikTok.
Wow. Yeah. I'm on that hard learning curve right now. So yeah. But you have all of these really cool people reading your book. Like they have it up and they're reading it. You don't see their faces, including Grogu. You've got Grogu in here reading your book. I mean, come on. That is the cutest.
Listen, I have twin boys who are 10 and a husband who's a crazy Star Wars fan. So, of course, we had to watch The Mandalorian, and we had to have Grogu at our house. And so, at least so, yeah, I just, I try to be, creative. Sometimes my kids come up with ideas. They pose my book with, random different things. One of the characters from the Avengers series and, some stuffed animal that they have. And so a lot of those posts go up on Instagram because I think people will get a kick out of it. So.
And why not? I mean, why not?
Yes, exactly.
Add a little lightness to the day for sure. So you've got, the Summer Breeze. So tell me, whose story are you going to be telling in the second book of that series?
So it continues Callie's story. Story because there's still a lot ahead for her. There are going to be some more challenges that she faces, and there are going to be some ups and downs in her romantic life as well. So the way I have it right now is it's a 3-part series. Book 2 there's going to be a lot more challenges thrown at her in book 2. And then in book 3, we'll start wrapping up a lot of the loose ends in her life.
Okay. So we'll see how it all plays. I think that you bring up a really good point about being in your 20s and trying to figure out life, because I was actually at dinner last night with some friends of mine, and, we were talking about our kids, and a few of us have kids a little bit older, into their 20s. And it's this, and this is not to bash any particular generation at all, but it's that feeling of, a lot of the kids coming out of college or what have you are want to start where they see the success begins. And it's that whole building into that. and those long hours you have to put in and the stupid jobs you have to do. And all of us, when we start out, it's like, this is a dumb job. It's like, yeah, it is a dumb job. But it's a job you have to learn how to do to get to the next job so you can get to that job. And it just seems like there's so many that are like, that's okay, I'm not interested. I'll just be a YouTuber or something, which, again, those people had to be on for hours to get anybody to look at them. So, yeah. So it's interesting when I see so many people say, I'm going to write a book one day, and then they do it. That's different from, I'm going to write one. What has been the best feedback you've gotten so far on your book?
I have gotten so much positive feedback on this, but I think the thing that makes me the happiest is when people say that they can connect with the characters, and it just gives them a little place to escape into, and just adds a little bit of a kind of a light summer breeze to their life. I mean, that makes me so happy to think like, oh, someone's laying in bed right now, and they've got the book on their nightstand, and they're like, oh, it's been a tough day. Pick up the book and they read a few pages, and maybe they go to sleep feeling a little bit lighter. I mean, to me, that makes me so happy.
Yeah. And it's weird because we all, we want to get this story out, we write it, and we're so excited. And of course, when we find out it's going to be published, whether through traditional and its release day or we've set our release day, there's that feeling of, oh my gosh, now it's in the universe. I hope that people love it as much as I do. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what if they don't? And then you get the feedback. Then you get, everyone gets crappy feedback, but you get really good feedback. And it's like, wow, I'm so glad I did that.
Yes. And, it's the feedback, like when people share with you. Today I've been invited to my very first book club. Like some people somewhere found my book and enjoyed it and decided, it's like a local book club, and they decided to invite me to their book club meeting. And to me, that's just like, I feel like a little kid, I'm so excited to go meet these people, look at them face to face and hear what they have to say about my book. And I'm sure we're only going to talk about the book for 10 minutes, and then it's going to go into a conversation about just life and kids and husbands and whatever. But just the thought that this group of people read my book and enjoyed it and decided to have me join them, it's just such a great feeling. And then the other thing that really makes me so happy is sometimes, I'll check my book stats on Amazon or whatever, and I'll see my Kindle page reads, and I'll be thinking to myself, at some point every single day, somewhere, there's somebody reading my book. Think of that. Think about the thought of somebody picking up a book every day, whether it's on Kindle or paperback, and reading the words that you've written. That is that's just an amazing feeling.
Putting it that way, you are absolutely right, because it is one of those feelings of, because I think sometimes, and I'm sure you went through it as well, and there's just like, God, I'm putting so much of my heart in this. Why am I writing this book again? I love it, but am I just writing it just for myself? And you are in a way. But to get that feedback, you just like, and that's why.
Yes.
It's because I get, happiness, like you're saying. Somebody's picking up your book somewhere. And it may be helping them just get through the day, because Lord knows it's been chaotic for a while here. Yeah. So tell me about this new cozy mystery you're working on.
So, well, I'm embarrassed to say that I was not a pro on different genres. When I released my book, this is almost dumb luck. I came across the Women's Fiction Writers Association, and I joined their Facebook group, and I joined their website, and I came across this whole presentation on genres, and I was like, I thought I was writing romance. But, oh, my gosh, The Summer Breeze is not romance. The Summer Breeze is 100% squarely women's fiction with just a little bit of sweet romance in it. And I was like, wow, that's how I need to market this book, like, because that's the truth of this book. Then with this cozy thriller or mystery, it's not. It's actually a romantic suspense. Like, I've been doing so much genre research. And this book, when I tell you, every, few days, so it's written. It's 100% written, but I'm doing my first round of revisions. And every few days, I'll go over to my daughter, and I'll be like, oh, my God, I love this book. Oh, my gosh, I love this story. And she's 14. And when The Summer Breeze came out, when she knew her mom had written a book, I mean, I was a whole different level of hero to her. I mean, it was the best thing, right? Because she's like, oh, my gosh, my mom, who does everything for us at home and does this, that, and the other thing, wrote a book, and she published it, And so I wrote that book, and so Summer Breeze, she's able to read. And I want to keep this book, I'm not a big fan personally of a lot of gratuitous violence or bad language or explicit scenes in a book, but that's just my personal my personal choice. But I also want to make sure I'm writing books that my dad can read, and I'm writing books that my daughter can read, but where the story is the central part of it. And so this book, even though it's a romantic suspense and people would think, oh, there might be some really super hot, steamy, no, it's one on the spice level. So there is, it alludes to steaminess in certain scenes, but it's not explicit. And the suspense part just builds up, and oh my gosh, it's just a fantastic story. And I just need to come up with a title. It hasn't hit me yet, but as soon as I have the title, I think it might be The Recipient. I think that might be the right title, but I need to finish my first round of revisions and then just really kind of feel what the right title is. Like The Summer Breeze, I knew as soon as I wrote a scene that the words from that scene were going to have to be the title of the book. There was no other choice for that book. It had to be called The Summer Breeze.
Well, there is a website, or there's a thing on Twitter. It's called Does It Bang, and it's at HEA_Does It Bang. And you can actually fill out a form. It's free, and put in there if there's explicit sex on the page. And if it's not, you just tell them, and then they will tweet books out and say, by this author, here's the title, and it doesn't or does. And so that way a lot of readers know for sure, when I'm picking this book up, is it what I want, like you're saying?
Oh, interesting.
So that might be something you might throw it into,
Yeah, that was one challenging thing for me when I first published The Summer Breeze was, originally, I thought it was romance. And so, but then I realized when people hear romance, there's different levels of steaminess, that spiciness level that people want. And a lot of people want level 5 high heat spiciness. And so they were disappointed. I had someone who was reviewing the book for me, and they were disappointed. They said the romance didn't come until too late in the book. And that's when I was like, I really need to understand. So any new authors out there, make sure you understand the genre that you're writing in because you want to appeal to the readers who want to read your style of writing. Right? You don't want you don't want someone to think a book is a certain way and then they open the pages and it's not, and they're just disappointed. I mean, that's not fair to them either because they've gone and gotten your book. But to just be very explicit in what your book is.
And it's important. The cover can also be a big giveaway. Yeah. But with so many drawn covers now, and I'm not going to say they're not cartoonish, but that's they're more graphic-y type on the front. Some people aren't sure. Well, it does, it doesn't it? And so this group has said, well, let's just tell everybody if it does or doesn't. But you need to know that if you're writing a book, first, does it make sense in the book if the heat level's high? And I'm sure you've talked about this with your writers group. It's don't just throw a scene in there for the sake of filling the pages. I mean, it's got to make sense.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes
exactly.
and some people are, I mean, it's not like romance writers just sit around all day and just like, I'm just going to write sex scenes all day and because I'm just going to put them in there. It's like, but does it work? And it's like we all watch romances just to see the journey. It's not just for the one kiss or whatever they do.
Exactly.
It's
right.
for the whole thing, So so know your product. It's just like you're saying, and that's kind of the benefit of being with the writers group. Like when you found women, women fiction writers, I'm sure that they did. I mean, like you're saying, they opened your eyes to a lot of different things in writing.
Yep. Yeah, it's incredible.
And you were
the thing about that
woman.
writing community. Well, the thing about the writing community is they are so generous. I mean, everybody. I have yet to put a question out there that doesn't get like a ton of responses of people just being helpful for no reason other than to be helpful. I mean, that's a great feeling too, right? To be part of a community like that.
And even, I mean, some people, and you've heard it and I've heard it, that people will say, well, but if you make someone else better, there's your competition. It's like, not really, because everyone has their own writing style. So, you might like someone's over someone else's, but who's to say you need to put you've got to put your best work out there. So if I help you, that only raises up our industry. So we all look really good.
And it's not, I mean, a book is not like a house where you can only buy one, right? Like most people are. People are buying books. They're buying multiple books. And if you have a really well-written, polished book, and it's a good product and someone likes that style of writing, they're going to be drawn to it. And so if I can help other authors and other authors help me, I mean, I think it's just win-win across the board.
When I first started way back in 2004, I was part of a writers group and I learned a ton. And then my very first book, I pitched and it got picked up. And I was so excited. And then I got the cover and it was truly dreadful. Like the cover alluded to them going after it like page 2 and they didn't do anything until like almost the end of the book. And I said, people are going to be angry with me because they are reading and waiting and nothing's happening. And I said, this cover doesn't work. And to be fair, a lot of publishers won't change covers unless there's a really good reason. So I talked to my writer friends and they're like, well, say this. And I did. And it was a brand new publisher. And I said, this isn't working. And they said, well, we know what we're doing. So the cover stayed. And I remember being devastated because I thought, this is not how I want my first book in the world to go out. And my friends were like, well, I guess you're going to, I mean, if you don't want it that way, you're going to have to pull your book. And that was so hard to be with my friends and they say, if this is not the publisher that you feel like is listening to your story, and they weren't going to do any edits because they were like, oh, no, it's fine the way it is. I was like, well, I feel like I've done a pretty good job, but I know there's improvement. And I was done, red flags everywhere, right? So and then they came to me and said, just pull your book. Just pull it out. Just go. And then 3 months later, the company filed for bankruptcy. So it was a mess.
Well, then,
and then
there's
I didn't get it published. Yeah, good. But I didn't get published. That book I sat for 5 years, and I went back and fixed it and did some things, and then the right publisher came along. But having that group of people around you is so important. So I'm so glad you did, because now we have your book, and we're going to have more.
Yes,
so
100%.
I'm excited about that.
I am so excited.
All right. So what is on your list to write? We all have that list that we wish that we, like Dr. Strange, we could write when we sleep, like he's reading when he's sleeping. So, what is on your list of things that you want to write, what stories you want to write? I have, so like I said, I have probably 6
manuscripts in various stages of completion, and I think I need to finish those. Like they're all really good stories. They'll, you open the first couple of pages will draw you in, and then you'll just want to know what happens to the characters until the very end. And so those need to get done. And I really like this genre. I like the kind of a strong woman, main character, and then the things that happen and the things that, like, I'm not, I don't want to write, a lot of tropes. Like, I know there's a lot of advice that you should, like, play up to the tropes of, like, if you want to write chick lit, you have kind of like a bumbling female who, like, stumbles into a lot of, that's just not, like, for me, it's the story and the journey of the main character. And so I don't know that I will leave that genre of women's fiction. Even though my romantic suspense is romantic suspense, it's still primarily women's fiction. It's the story of one character and her journey and what happens to her. But I want to finish these books. I mean, if I could get them all done in the next, like, year, like my first round of writing, because they're all, like, more than half done. And then I need to work with the editors and the cover designer and this and that. But I would love for my romantic suspense to come out this year, the second book in the Summer Breeze to come out at the end of this year, and then 2 more next year. That's kind of my goal, my writing goal.
Okay.
Let's see if if the planets align for me to get there.
Yeah, sometimes it's all you can do is hope they do, or just hope that the coffee stays with you long enough to get through that that paragraph you've been working on for 2 days. Like, why isn't it working? They're not doing what you're supposed to. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Writing is a very interesting field because it's especially with cozy mysteries, because you're sitting around thinking of ways people die. Like, okay, let's see.
Yes.
How can this person?
Yes, you're Googling very strange things. Yes.
Yes. And you're just thinking, I know the FBI is going to come knocking on my door one day, and then it's like, oh, she's a writer. Well, we're good. You almost want to wish.
It's so
you
funny.
wish there was like a little tag that you could say, FBI, I'm a writer.
I'm a writer. Well, for me, it's so funny because, like, the way my desk and my laptop are set up, I have my back to where my kids come into the room. And so I'm always like, when I'm Googling certain things, I'm always like, make sure I, like, look over my shoulder. They're going to walk in and be like, why is Mom Googling, like, sedative and, like, all sorts of, like, just random things. But yeah, I'm always worried that someone's going to come knocking on the door. At least for this book. The rest of the books are
they're okay, right? When I was
they're all on the up and up.
I went through Ivy. Yeah, I went through Ivy training, and we were in it, and a bunch of my classmates were with me that we'd all just graduated, and so I kept saying there's certain medicines you cannot give IV, or it's called IV push, so you can't put in a syringe and push it. You have to dilute it and fluid, etc. And so I would say they're like, because it could cause this, and it could cause this heart arrhythmia, and it could cause, sudden death, and all this stuff. And I kept saying, is that traceable? And after a while, because I'm writing stuff down, and the poor woman, after about, third time I've asked, she's like, no, but she wasn't asking why I was asking. So my friends were like, she's a writer. And then it was like, oh, okay.
Will anybody know that I've done this to somebody?
Right. But then I got hyper aware. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make sure, like, I never do any of these things. Just making a bad day. You just don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anyone to ever think, So yeah. But thank you so much for coming and talking to us, Shail, today. That was it's been so much
nice.
fun.
It has been so much fun, and I was a little nervous, but you are just wonderful, and I can't believe how much time has flown by. I could talk to you for another hour. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you, and please come back when your newest stuff is out. Let's talk some more.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. And this has been Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. We've been talking to Shail Rajan. She is online. She is all over the place in social media. She's on Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, Goodreads, Twitter, BookBub, all those places, and I will have a link to all of them and the write-up of the show. So everybody, her book is out, Summer Breeze. It is out now. She's got more coming, so you better get that one in your Kindle or on your bookshelves. Read it because she's got more stuff coming later this year. And this has been Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. Keep on reading, everybody.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions. www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.